Glad to know you're still very much with us, everyone. Now, it's time to go into issues that we need to, of course, expand conversations on this morning. And the first issue will be the issue of empowerment and development in Nigerian society using the instrumentality of politics and governance. Joining us in the conversation this morning is a man of high towering image in the academia, who has also been a watcher of the happenings in the polity of Nigeria. He is of the Department of Physics, the Federal University of Technology, a career professor at the EMA today. Thank you so much for joining us on the EMT.
Thank you, sir.
Right, let's start this way. You've seen a lot of electoral cycle in Nigeria. We've also seen a lot of administrations, successive governments since our return to democracy. Would we say indeed that politics and governance have been tools of empowerment and development more than weapon of poverty, impoverisation, so that it will be for political advantage of the political elite?
Thank you, sir. Actually, looking at the whole scenario going on in Nigeria, we know that politics is not really achieving its aim.
It's not achieving its aim?
At all, it's not. The essence of politics is to set series of activities for a society or a city, because the word is from Greek word known as affairs of the city. Now, but that is to say, to have gathering of people that will plan for the good of the city, of the country, of the society, whichever we want to put it. But what we are having today is that we have people who have opportunity to get to the position of leadership, but rather than using it to benefit the masses, they are using it to benefit themselves. So what we have today is not really the expected result that we're expecting. So politics of today is like politics of selfishness.
Politics of selfishness?
Of selfishness.
What is the reason behind this development? If a particular medication is supposed to cure an ailment, but it is now still increasing the effect of the ailment, what could be the reason?
The major reason is that we are not playing the game according to the rules. Politics, to have the expected political scenario that is expected in a society, it must be played according to the rules. Politics and governance are the same. That is, to have good governance, we must have good politics. The point is that if you look at the way people emerge to position of leadership in Nigeria today, we cannot really say we talk of democracy. Well, is our democracy really democracy? We are not playing real democracy. What we are playing is kind of hybrid thing. You have authoritarian mixed up with democracy. That is, the only part of democracy that we have is the issue of voting. And even that issue of voting, we cannot really say is according to how the people are expecting. Our votes counting, that's the problem. So we have people getting to position of leadership through different means, most especially through rigging. And we have situation in this country today where somebody who was number 4 on during a contest became the governor of a state. So how do you expect good governance from there? So if to say that we are playing the game according to its rule, that is to say our laws and regulations are really coming to play.
Prof, you have the stock who believe that politics is a dirty game, right?
No, it's not a dirty game. We are making it dirty in Nigeria.
Okay, we're making it dirty, but the way we play it.
The way we play it.
How do we cleanse the process? Because most times we speak big grammar, we write a whole lot, columns, features, newspapers and magazines, and then we come to radio and television, we say a whole lot, but we're not participating in the process. Is that also not a problem? That's why I'm asking, how do you think we could cleanse the way we play politics?
The only major way of cleansing it is by getting it right, through voting. If the vote of the people, if the vote is counting, definitely somebody who got to power through the normal voting, we know that he must please the people if he's going to return. But the point I have just said it, that what you have is people get to power through different kinds of means, whether through godfatherism or through election rigging and so and all whatnot. So with that, we can never get it right. So, but if our votes are counting, you get there, you know that you don't have that assurance of going back there if you are not doing well. Look at what happened during Buhari regime. one will never believe that APC will come into government again with kind of thing that we saw in Nigeria. But unfortunately, because of this issue of people playing it not according to the rule, we have them in power again, and that is why we are facing what we are facing today. So the only way to cleanse it is to have normal, to have good electoral reform.
Okay, Prof, speaking of our democracy,
Okay, sir.
you know, Nigeria democracy is considered to be a nascent one. It's evolving, and does that suggest that we have a good, the bad, and the ugly? So how will you describe our democratic journey so far from this point of view, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Honestly, it has been the ugly.
All true, ugly.
Honestly, from 1919, even right away from 1960, 60 whatever, when the first civilian regime came up before the coup. But that one we can still say, okay, we have something that was still all right then. But from 1999 till date, we have the ugly. The ugly. That's it.
What about the unprecedented transition of democratic governance to another? Is that not something we should be tagged as the good?
In fact, that's where I was going to say something before, but now you have reminded me. The issue of nascent.
Okay.
I don't want to believe in that language, that we have a nascent democracy. That's something that has been on for how many years now? 25 years, and we are still calling it evolving. I don't believe so. I believe that because even in Yoruba land, you say if you have a child of 4 or 5 years that is not working, that cannot talk, you know that that child has problem. So that is the kind of thing we're having. The point is that we need to change our orientation. Our people get into position of leadership must change their orientation. So our democracy can never be nascent. How many years are we going to use in learning? If you say we are learning, how many years are we going to use in doing it? So that is my own line of argument.
Prof, you appear not to believe in the style of the All Progressives Congress, APC, especially with your statement the other time that one would expect that APC would not come back to power. Do you see any difference between the APC and every other political party in Nigeria? Do we really have party ideology in Nigeria, or they are just political platforms for grabbing governance and power?
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, it is not that I don't believe in APC. Let me tell you, when President Jonathan was there, because of the fact that he came from an academic background, I was expecting him to perform better than he did. So when APC came together, I was happy. In fact, I was happy. When Buhari was made the presidential candidate, I was also happy. I believe he was going to get there to do wonders. But eventually when they got to power and they started behaving, and it was just even worse than Jonathan. So I became disappointed in the system. That is my reason for saying no one will expect APC to come back to governance. Looking at what happened during Buhari regime, that is just the issue. So it is not that I'm against anyone, but the point is that like I said, that what we have is the ugly. APC, PDP, all of them, they are the same. The only thing is that we should just pray that God should give us a leader that has the fear of God, that has the mind of the people.
That
that
people
is what
get the type of leader they deserve. That's a very popular statement in the political arena and governance process. Isn't it safe to say, therefore, that also the electorate has a lot of roles to play in this matter? What do you think?
Hey, you know, the point is that we can say that if people get the kind of leader that they pray for. But the point is that the electorate, you said people should come and vote, and they go up lining up to vote, and eventually the votes are not counting. So what do you expect them to do? So, but the point is that, like our group, SMP, Social Mobilization Project, there was a time we had a press conference to show that, to tell the government that what we need, or the masses or the people of Nigeria, that what we need is electoral reform. The problem we are having is that our democracy has been monetized. Voting has been monetized. And what do you expect somebody who has not seen anything to eat for about 2 or 3 days? So if they give him 5,000 naira to go, he will quickly run after it and say, I'm going to do your bidding. So it is like poverty has been entrenched in the system, so that those leaders will continue in the position of leader to control the minds of the people.
Hindsight, which should come first? Economic renaissance or political reinvigoration? if we are going to get it right in Nigeria?
A political reinvigoration must come first, because it is from politics we get people that will drive governance.
Okay.
And so if that one is strong, that means governance can never be right.
Okay, what about the doubt? Currently, we have a kind of an exchange in the baton of leadership in the INEC. What do you make of that appointment? Is that a way forward in our electoral process? What do you make of that appointment?
Well, I don't have any issue with that, because I don't know anything.
Even the fact that it's coming from the academic background.
I don't know anything. I don't know Amupiton. Yakub Mahmoud came from the academics,
Okay.
from the academia. But the point is that, can we say he really did well when he was in office?
Would you say he did well or not?
To me personally, I don't believe he did the right thing.
What were his flaws?
Yeah. For instance, the issue of beavers. You see, when National Assembly said they were going to review the electoral laws, and beavers was introduced, and from beavers we have IREF. He was the one who promised Nigeria we will have IREF, so that election result will be transmitted directly from the polling unit, which would have been the best way out of this logjam that we are in. If that was allowed to function, that would have solved our problems. But eventually, when the time came, this thing was done for some time. After some time, the thing was just switched off. So what caused it? And when this thing was taken, when the issue was taken to court, INEC refused them unnecessary material that they should that should be provided. So what can we say? Can we say, and I believe it's the fault of the leadership, if he were to behave like an academic, which is expected to be,
Okay.
he would have during Babangida era, this June 12th thing, Erinwosu did something. He refused to announce result again. But that's not the result. What I mean is the result, the real result. When Babangida said you stop, he found the means of making it public. And that was what made us to believe that Abiola won that election. That's how a professor behaves. You don't just submit to the whims and caprices of just some person. You have to tell them it is better for you to be removed from office than for you. Look at the way he's been blacklisted here and there.
Okay, now speaking of being in office, we've come to that point of realization that it speaks volumes of the fact that it is no longer about the offices, but it's no longer about the individuals, but much more of the offices. So it now brings us back to the system. How do we restructure or rework the system in such a way that whoever that is occupying the office can be accountable to the people? How do we do that?
We have to start from the beginning.
The beginning where? Where exactly?
Total overhaul of our constitution.
Okay.
And that is why I am in tune with the Patriot. There's this group called the Patriot that said we need a new constitution in this country, and they are trying to do some things that will give us it. I believe in that, because our major problem is from the constitution. So long that that constitution is still in place, we can never get it right.
And you believe the National Assembly can work in that direction?
They can never. Most especially this National Assembly that said people should go and be protesting, and they are eating.
So what do we do then?
Is that the way somebody in government should talk? Somebody that is looking after the affairs of the people, and you are not there for yourself. It shows they are there for themselves. And look at what happened in the case of River State. When the Constitution says 2/3 of the number of people in the house should vote, you say voice vote, and they did it with impunity, as if to say nobody can catch them. That is why we are suffering. And well, that is it.
So what do we do in this case?
Well, the best thing is to pray.
We got come down from heaven?
Honestly. You see, the point is that to pray. In Israel, when Saul was governing,
Okay.
when Saul was the king, although God told them that this king that I'm going to give you, that is going to do this, is going to oppress you. But because they wanted it at that time, and Saul did oppress them. But eventually, when with the favor of God, God gave them another person who happened to be David, from whom Solomon came out. And when Solomon was reigning, they said gold was like sand in Israel. That is to say, money was here and there. If we want to take it to our own balance, that is, everybody was
So someone would
comfortable.
listen to you, Prof, and say that's a biblical fairy tale, that we should be realistic. Do you think prayer actually is a problem of Nigeria, or decisive action, responsible patriotic disposition, wherever each citizen finds in oneself?
Yes, I know people talk of revolution. That the thing we need is, I've always also said it before. But looking at the society that we are in, these people that are governing, that the president today was one time on the street. Do you expect somebody who understands the nitty-gritty of what is going on in our society to get there and be doing all this that we are seeing? Unleashing terror on the people. But eventually that is what they saw. My own belief is that all of us are the same. So there is no anybody given the opportunity. When he gets there, we also do the same thing. That is why it is not revolution that we need, it is revival. That's why where prayer comes in. What is revival? Revival is God awakening. When the fear of God comes into the heart of everybody who is in the leadership position.
There are not many people who are in authority today who also belong to one religion or the other.
They are religious.
Does that mean that revival hasn't happened in their own lives too?
Exactly.
Isn't the point of that we just need to do the right thing, whether or not we belong to Judaism, Christianity, Islam, traditional religion? Just do the right thing. Isn't that what we?
It is to do the right thing that we are talking about. How will people do the right thing when they don't have the fear of God? Can you just imagine people cutting a lot of money in this country and taking it to foreign lands for those people to be developing their economy? That is why World Bank and IMF will never support good governance in this environment, because that is what is enriching them. That is what is enriching their own democracy. Our people will steal our money here and they will take it to US and take it to UK. That is it. So fear of God is absent from the mind of many Nigerians. All that everybody is thinking about is what I can get from the system. What can I get? How do I? So it is when the fear of God comes in. You said some religious people, they are just religious. They don't know God. You can be a Muslim and be sincere. There was a time I had problem when I was coming from my hometown. Long ago, that was in 1997. Was on the way. Our cab had problem. So I had to be trekking. But it was inside the bush. So a man was coming. I had been waving vehicles down who didn't answer me. But a man was coming. He just stopped. And the man happened to be a Muslim. This fellow now said, he said the Spirit of God told him that this is a man of God. Carry him. Just you have some. So in different religion, you have people that are sincere, who believe in the ethics, the norms of that religion. But what we have today is that you have people who call themselves religious people, but who don't believe in the ethics and the norms of
let's talk about something very important. That's the aspect where politicians who find themselves at the corridor of power, they will say they're doing what they term the needful. They call it empowerment projects. Sometimes you find distribution of motorbikes, distribution of this or that. How well does this really go in dealing with the endemic poverty that people suffer from in society?
Honestly, thank you, sir. Honestly, I don't believe in this their empowerment program. It is not really empowering anybody. It's just like they are looking for their relations and people around them that they will give something. And if you look at it, if you compare it, we have this constituency money that is being given to anybody who is a senator in the House of Rep. Now, if you compare and contrast what they are giving to the people with the amount of money they are receiving from government, they are incomparable. So that is why I don't believe in their empowerment. And I've always been saying it. Look around Aule, where I am living. Look at the house. There are poor people around there. How many of the people in my area can really say they have gotten something from this their empowerment? We have business people around Futa there. How many business people in Futa have gotten something out of this their empowerment? So it is their cronies they are giving. Whatever thing they are doing is just it's just to tell the people we are doing something. No, I don't believe in it. I believe in putting in place the necessary ingredients that will make everybody to thrive.
Okay, now speaking of justice, now administration of justice and rule of law in Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
How will you rate us so far?
Very poor.
Judiciary, because one way or the other, judiciary is an independent arm of government,
Yes, sir.
and they have that oversight function to effectively establish our laws. So, are we saying the judiciary is weak or the other way around?
Our judiciary is not only weak; it's in the pockets of the executive.
How?
Oh, because they do whatever thing the executive is interested in. Ordinarily, I'm not a lawyer.
Maybe it's more of interdependency than dependency.
I don't believe in that. I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
No, sometimes when you see the facts of a case, you yourself will understand that this case should go this way. But you will see our judges somersaulting on the way, just because they want to play according to the interest of whoever is in leadership position. That is it. That is what I can say personally.
Now let's talk about the intersection between leadership and followership. Most times we talk about responsible leadership. We
Yes, sir.
forget the aspect of responsible followership. Citizenship also entails that you do certain civic responsibilities. How well are Nigerians really doing the needful in this regard?
Let me quickly say this. Dora Akunyili, late Dora Akunyili, said something. He said Nigerians are very wonderful people, in the sense that they even thank you for what you are supposed to do as a government when you have done it.
Okay.
So what our problem in this land is majorly leadership, and that is why the moment we have bad leadership, then it's going to generate bad followership, because everybody is looking for means of surviving. Now, if like the present state of this country now, where hardship is here and there, how many people will be able to stand on their feet and say, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that? That is what is going on. If you don't have good government, you are going to have bad followership. That is just it.
But
That's
speaking of the youth now, maybe they are being apolitical because of they feel like they are not part of governance. So then how do we now reconfigure their mindset to start seeing governance and politics as the only way of survival at the level of this country? How do we reconfigure their mindset to get involved in terms of citizen participation?
You see, the problem of our youth is not any other thing than bad governance, because they can't see anything.
But staying behind with that evidently is not going to solve the problem. So
point
one
is
way or the other, they have to be involved. So how do we now reconfigure their mindset to start seeing it as something you cannot do, as something that has to do with survival of our democracy and system?
I believe the only way to do it is to make sure we put in place good governance. That is the only way, because you can't tell somebody tomorrow will be better. When I was in the NC, that was in 1983. Babangida them will be telling us, oh, you are the leaders of tomorrow. This is how many years after? Are you getting me?
Okay.
That's it. So if you are now telling a youth that you are the leader of tomorrow, he will tell you when. We know the story now. So that is why you can't stop them from running to other countries where they are. That's why our youth are going through Sahara Desert to go to strange lands, to go and become second-rate citizens. It's not that they are interested in it. You have people who are medical doctors that are sweeping in UK, sweeping in the US, doing megad over there. Something they can't do here. It is not because they are interested in it, but because there is no hope in this country. And I can't see this government trying to bring up that hope.
Do you think
That
there's
is
still no hope?
Honestly,
You think there's no hope?
I can't see it. That's my problem. I can't see the hope. Even
Now,
with this,
If you speak this way, let's look at how we could recalibrate the process, especially if, for instance, you do not believe there is hope anymore in Nigeria, and the other person does not believe there is hope anymore in Nigeria, then who would do the right thing for the hope to be rekindled? That's what I'm asking you.
we have said it, that it is either we have revolution or we have
Do you think revolution is the way to go? Or perhaps you're talking about a revolution of the mind? Individuals should have a rethink.
And you see, that my own is the real revolution. The real revolution.
What is the real revolution?
You know, that was what happened in Ghana. Ghana was, you know, there was a time Ghanaians were coming to Nigeria to come and look for many jobs to do. But it was when after Rawlings' revolution that made them to run back, because Rawlings came up and developed Ghana and did the right thing in Ghana. That was what made them to go back. And today Nigeria is
revolution is the revolution in the governance arena, that they will do the right thing.
They will do the right thing. They have to do the right thing. And then we need our people also to rise up to make them do the right thing. But the problem is that, can people really rise up to do that?
Why? What stops them?
Because everybody has been impoverished. So people are only looking for what they are going to eat.
Do you still believe that education is the bedrock of development?
Yes, it is.
Because you're from the academia?
No.
So why do you still believe that?
Because that is the only way you can enlighten the minds of the people.
So how then do we recalibrate the education system in such a way that it might really serve as the foundation of the mindset revolution? Because you'll be using that term revolution. I needed to put it in proper perspective, that you're not calling for a revolution of people going to the streets. You're saying there must be a revolution of the mind.
Of the mind, yes.
That people would be committed to doing the right thing. So how do we use the instrumentality of education to achieve this?
Thank you so much. And that is why, that is part of the cries of us over these years, that education must be well funded. United Nations said 26% of our budget must be spent on education. But what do we have in Nigeria? And that is why education has been put down in this country. That's why we are not getting results, because the needed fund is not being released to education. So it is only if government can fund education appropriately and make people and make the right people to be there. You know, the way our good academics are running out of this country today, that's what is called brain drain, because they don't have hope in the country again. So until that is turned around, that will make them to come back and stay within the system, to build the system. That is why what is going on in China today is because they got it right in the area of education. There was a time I went for a conference in the US. In that conference, I saw what I brought. I saw what young folks from China brought. Young folks from China brought. You will see that we are nothing comparable with them. Nothing comparable with
an exhibition of science and
yeah, exactly. Okay. So what do we have to exhibit here? What do we have to exhibit here? Nothing.
Now, Prof, I'm bothered about something.
Okay, sir.
We've had President Jonathan, the former president, from the academia. He was the leader of this country. Over time, it's been either one professor or another heading our electoral commission, also from the academia. Are you really connecting the dots?
Yeah.
Can we then say that the academia also does not believe in the future of this country? Why is it that their representatives, according to you, have also not been able to do well in contributing to uplifting this country?
You know, I said it ab initio. I said President Jonathan disappointed me personally, and I believe he disappointed many people. Because when I learned that he was a former lecturer, I believe he was going to do that as a PhD holder. He should have put in place. But what did we have in his own regime? So many kinds of corruption went on. So that is about that. So he disappointed me. And I believe he disappointed even all of us.
Professor Atari Jega was
yes, Atari Jega,
chairman of the commission. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. We can keep on and on and on.
You remember that during Atari Jega, that was when we...
Is it that the academia, the representatives of the academia also do not have the interest of the nation at heart?
No, that's not it. It's an individual thing. If you look at Atari Jega, the performance of Atari Jega...
It's an individual thing?
Yeah.
Jonathan...
No. Okay, let me define my. You know, Jonathan was president, but Atari Jega was INEC chairman. And if you look at the period Atari Jega was INEC chairman, everything was in order. How do I mean? You know, Atari Jega was through him that another political party was able to take over power. That means he was independent. That means he acted accordingly. You know that even when election was going on, someone, I've forgotten the name from PDP, wanted to disrupt that election, and he was just looking at him like this. He allowed him to do all the rantings, And he just continued with his own work. That's a professor. That's a professor. I love him so much. He did well.
So Mahmoud Yakubu was made a professor?
He's a professor. You know what I mean is that...
Boris was not a professor?
Okay, no problem. But the issue, I want you to get me right. That as an academic, you are expected to have your own mind in any matter.
Okay.
Have your own mind.
So among all of them, Harry Jega has your vote of confidence.
Honestly.
And the others do not.
I can't vouch for Yakubu.
What's the way forward as we place a wrap on this conversation?
Thank God.
How do we get it right?
Thank God for
politics, governance, the academia, the media, the judiciary, the legislature. What should be the preoccupation in our minds if indeed Nigeria will be great again?
Sir, thank God for Amupito. Let him help us do it right. Let him make sure that our votes count. This issue of beavers and the IRF should be reinvigorated, so that they should play very good part in the next.
So what reforms should we be expecting? How should we place on his table as far as getting our electoral process well organized?
I've just said it. Beavers. Let the beavers be made to work.
Okay.
Let IRF be made to work, so that everybody who is contesting, we know that no wrong result will come from anywhere.
Transparency.
Yeah, that's transparency. That will transparency. There is not going to be any shady thing anywhere. So that will help us a lot.
Okay, before you go, Prof, this issue of well, maybe you should also look at our educational outcomes. In terms of training now, let's just put aside the subventions of schools and universities. Now, what is maybe probably the concept of education is the purpose already defeated. For instance, you made mention of people, the concept of brain drain, people traveling out of the country in search for greener pastures. But the concept of education is to solve problems. And if we are not getting that, does that mean something is wrong with our curriculum or what you are training in our schools? Because I remember some times ago, the one professor was accusing the federal government then, when Fashola was in power, was the Minister of Power, and was accusing them of failure, not doing enough in the area of power. So Fashola now challenged him that you are a professor of engineer or a professor of energy. You should be able to do something, inspire your student to come up with an ideology, and probably supply your university community with power to develop or to just power your university community. So what can we really do now to inspire our students to be more problem-solving oriented than seeking for greener pasture?
Honestly, let me not deceive you, sir.
Okay.
What we need is funding of our system. There is nobody who is a professor today in FUTA who is not interested in passing across adequate knowledge. But the problem we have is we are limited by resources. There are practicals we cannot perform because there is no equipment to do it. That's the problem. And some of these equipments are highly costly. So it's not a thing somebody can say, okay, because I want my student to know it, let me use my money to buy it. How much am I earning? So the point is that government must put in place the necessary items, equipment needed to do this. So it is until we have that, that is when we can really train our students. It is not that we are not putting in our best. At least we are utilizing the little that we have to impart the adequate knowledge. In fact, there was a time I was telling myself, I said, well, I was teaching them something on energy. This energy conversion thing. As I say, pity, we have to do it theoretically.
Okay.
If it were to be that we have equipment, I would have taken you to the site so that you see all these things working. But the point is that we have no equipment, we have nothing to show.
And we do hope that that will be a way forward distant time. And let me just appeal to you to still believe in Nigeria. Nigeria can still be great again, Professor, if we all do the right thing. I hope you agree with me on that.
Yeah.
I believe so. Thank you so much, Professor Ademi, about today. Of course, we've been having conversation on making Nigeria great again. Of course, using the instrumentality of politics and governance. And then he's been telling us his mind about how things are being in Nigeria and what should be done to really get it right. I celebrate your passion for a better Nigeria, and we do hope that things will get better. Thank you so much. We'll take a break, everyone. When we return, it will be time for yet another issue. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Glad to know you're still with us, everyone. Of course, it's still AM today on this channel. We've had a conversation on politics and governance as instrumentality of development and empowerment in the Nigerian state. Let's shift our focus to Ondo State and look at the updates on energy and mineral development in the state. We're being joined by the Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Dr. Johnson Alabi, who is also an engineer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Well, a whole lot have been said about what your ministry, or let me say the Ayedatun administration through your ministry has been doing in terms of energy, the order to a prepaid meter and all of that. I dare say, and I stand to be corrected, that not too much has been heard about mineral development in the state. What exactly is the issue?
Well, thank you very much for another opportunity to be here today. The Ministry of Energy is not that of energy alone. Of course, it is that of energy and mineral resources. You know, in every facet of life that you find yourself, as an engineer, the first thing you look for is a structure which you can build upon. And once that structure is not in place, there is nothing you can do, because you cannot build something on nothing. On my coming into the ministry, I discovered that a lot of things have been happening just multi-directionally without a structure on ground. And I feel that that structure ought to be put in place for mineral resources in the state to thrive. Of course, you must have been aware that mineral resources, especially mining, is on the exclusive list of the federal government. And because it is on the exclusive list, a lot of states have rescinded to faith, feeling that because it is exclusive in nature, the state should not bother itself in going into either exploration or mining activities. So, but now, since my entrance into the ministry, we have been planning, we are in the planning stage, putting structures in place for us to be able to take advantage of even the exclusivity of the federal government and turning it into reality and making some things happen in Ondo State. So that is where we are at this moment. We have developed an executive order that is presently going through the Ministry of Justice, and from the Ministry of Justice is going to come to the ESCO. And once the ESCO passes it, then it becomes an operational policy in Ondo State for mineral resources. One of those things we are advocating is for the state to take an holistic approach in reaching the mineral resources by way of trying to acquire licenses. Develop an agency, get license for exploration, and thereafter getting investors to come and work within our licenses. And if we do this, it becomes income generation for Ondo State. a situation whereby mining and explorers just come into the state. Because of exclusivity, they move directly to the site and they sign agreement with the community, and without even the consent of the state, they can go ahead, because there is no law in place that requires that they must sign they must seek the consent of the state. So all those things we are putting in place now, that any explorer or miner coming into the state must seek the state consent, and the way they are going to seek the consent is by way of not allowing the community to unilaterally sign agreement with miners. Every community that must sign CDA must pass them through the state Ministry of Justice to the state Ministry of Energy for approval before such a miner can come to our land to mine. So all these are some of the things we are putting in place.
What's the rationale behind this you're putting in place? Someone will look at it and say it's also another means of looking for revenue generation mode by the state government, or is it a question of having a superintending function over the affairs of mining?
Not really. One, we must be able to have data. The data of, people are talking about security today. A lot of things are happening in our forest that we don't know. So we must know the identity of the people coming into our forests. We must know them. And the way we can know them is by making them to go through a route whereby they must come to us for consent, not necessarily for the monetary value of it.
But also the monetary
value. Of course, the land that is being degraded by the reason of mining belongs to the governor. So it is what is inside that belongs to the federal government, but the land itself belongs to the governor of the state, and the governor must take every advantage of everybody coming on his land. And not only that, when miners operate on a particular land and they are going, there is a law that has been put in place to ensure that they restore back the land the way it used to be. But in most cases, what we find is that when these people come, they mine and they just go. There is no restoration process, leaving the state having to look for money to come and restore the land. So we feel that this responsibility should not be shifted to the state, but rather shifted to the miners.
Of the Ondo State government, especially the idea of administration, on the ongoing reforms in the mining sector. Just yesterday, Minister of Mineral Resources, Dile Alake, was saying that no amount of threats, intimidation, or any chaos will deter the federal government from doing what it is doing in terms of reforms in that subsector. You were speaking on the issue of the 10th Nigeria Mining Week commencing today.
Yes.
What then is the stance of the Ondo State government on this matter? Is there any collaborative?
Yes, as I speak to you, there is an intended collaboration that is going on between. Yes, intended. Why? Because we have not gotten to where we will begin to explore what we have. Okay. I say it's intended. For instance, in the bitumen area as a mineral resources in Ondo State, the federal government has reached out to Ondo State to see how we can bring up some data and how they can work with data. Of course, you are aware that the federal government is already talking about creating a bitumen development commission, and Ondo State, we say that we have the largest quantity, but we are yet to prove it. But I know that Ondo State has a bitumen, so we are yet to prove the exact quantity, because certain studies that should reveal that to us have not been carried out, and we are just hoping that very soon we are also working towards that, to ensuring that all necessary analysis of all these things are done. Now, the collaboration we are talking about, the Ondo State government is not averse to whatever the federal government is doing, even though that there is the advocacy for the federal government allowing the state to take advantage of their mineral resources. That advocacy has been on and is still going on, though not yet lawful, but I believe that probably with time the states will get that autonomy to regulate their mineral resources within their boundaries, their geographical boundaries. But as of today, there is no much ado about what the Minister of Mining is saying. We are ready to cooperate with them. We are ready, in as much as that our lands are not put in a undeplorable situation where to begin to affect the citizens and even affecting our land as a people of the state.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, one thing is to enact the law or trying to establish reforms. We know the mining sector, if you agree with me, is a very complicated sector.
Yes.
Even there are forces and principalities that the federal government itself is even dealing with, struggling with to stop them from sabotaging the system. How well is Ondo State prepared for the compliance of these laws and reforms?
Yes, Ondo State is working. You know, I mentioned earlier, for any building to take off,
Okay.
there has to be a foundation. And once that foundation is laid, then the structure can begin to boom. And that is exactly what we are doing. All that we are doing is not going to go outside of our lawful potentials. We will work within the lawful potentials, but we are not averse to anything the federal government is doing, especially what we are expecting from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We are expecting him to create a lot of reforms. So if those reforms are coming at this time, why not? We are ready to embrace it. We are ready to work and run with it. Bitumen in Ondo State is a critical one. I must tell you that in the last 3 weeks to about 4 weeks, the presidency have been on us in the state to come up with a lot of facts about what we have. They are showing their intention to bring investors to explore the bitumen potential that we have here. So I know so many things will still happen along the line, but what we are doing presently, all that we are doing presently is to build this foundation and ensure that every other thing, when they begin to come, Ondo State will be ready to fly with it.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, you spoke of the mineral autonomy given to the state.
Yes.
Mineral development autonomy. Then how can we say, how well are we prepared in terms of infrastructures? Because at that point, at some point, partners and developers will start coming in to take advantage, to partner with the state. So in terms of infrastructure now, should we say we are ready to accommodate that, the fulfillment of that initiative?
No, you see, the autonomy we talked about has not been granted yet. But there is this advocacy that is going on all around it. But if, there is a great or huge potential that is in mineral resources in this state, very huge. If we see that autonomy is coming to us, why not? We will even borrow money, invest money, so that we can, take advantage of the situation to, exploring our mineral resources.
Okay.
We will. Why not? Creating infrastructure is just one of those things that will be required from the state. If we are given the autonomy, we'll do it. But a situation whereby a miner comes to the state, he talked about exclusivity of the federal government, and he wants to mine, and he's telling the state to come and create infrastructure for him to be able to mine. You know, it looks unreasonable. So what most of them do is that when they come, they sign agreement with the community, and some of them attempt to create road, maybe not that, but an accessible road through where they can take, mine their product and take it out of that environment. So they do that. But if the state must begin to be involved in infrastructural development for mining, then it must be that we have secured our autonomy.
Well, Dr. Johnson Alabi, you are the Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources. I'm not.
Yes.
And I'm not also an expert in that. But I do understand that beyond these ones that need devolution of powers, such that the exclusivity in mineral exploration would maybe move to concurrent. Of course, conversations are still on as far as that is concerned. The bill has been read for the second time at the House of Representatives.
Yes.
Many other things still ongoing. So that's still just on one side. How about the issue of quarry and sound, stones blasting, rock blasting, and all of those? Do they also follow that the purview of your ministry? What exactly have been done to really regulate this area? Especially, let me give you an instance. You move around casual axis of Oda Road.
Yes.
Moving into Ijigba area, you find a hilly place like that, sand exploration going on there and all of that. The buildings there, the residents there, they are in trepidation. What will be their lot if, for instance, stones just hit their buildings and all of that? Is this also within the purview of your ministry? What are you doing to look into that?
Well, about 2 months ago, we got a letter from an interested party somewhere around the Mafo area. In the letter, it was stated that a blasting activity took place and a flying stone landed on a building. And so immediately we received the letter. We took up, I was personally on that site to see what has happened. On getting there, we discovered that that particular building was right inside the perimeter where the blasting was taking place, just about 30 meters away. And it is within that cadastre that those people have licensed. Even at that, we have advised the owner of the site to ensure they relocate that fellow, because life first. Two is that we tried to find out. There is something that is called environmental and social impact assessment. This assessment must be carried out in line with the policy of the state, even though you are working on an exclusivity. You must follow the policy of the environmental impact laid down by the state. And on going further, we discovered that this company did not even carry out environmental impact assessment.
No EIA.
No EIA.
Yes, exploration.
Yes, exploration was going on. And what they told us was just that they were testing to see how things will be around that place. So, but on probing further, they claimed that the land had been acquired and secured before that occupant of that house came to build there. And why did you not stop him while building? They said we tried to stop him and he just would not attend to it. So we have such cases. But like the case you are mentioning now, that is the Kajola to along the way to Davok in Ijoka. The hilly laterites there. You know, when I see people building on the hill like that, it's like people building houses on gold. Building houses on gold. And you know, all these lands, in the artisanal mining, they also have their own license. These people go to the cadastre. They go there, they get their license. They don't come to tell you because they only take the coordinate of that place. Some of the places that people are building houses are being licensed by the cadastre before, you know, going into building there. Because when you look at such hilly places in Ondo State, go to the cadastre. They will tell you it's already been occupied, even though they've not started the exploration there. But it would have, you know, it would have been licensed for them to use. And people just jump on top of it and they begin to, you know, what I just feel is that we need to create a lot of awareness in that regard.
Who will bail the cat if not government?
Yeah, the government will do it.
And who would do that for government if not your ministry?
Yes, our ministry will do it. And that also boils down to the fact that I told you that we are laying foundation for many things to happen. We should have orientation department where we orientate the people on the activities of artisanal mining. Those quarries also, you know, about a few days ago, I had a meeting with the quarry operators and sand miners within the state. Do you know that these people have no obligation even to the Ministry of Energy? There is no obligation. They just go to the site, they take whatever they want to take. Even the enforcement of tarpaulin, because when you take sand on your tipper, the probability is that when you are going, the wind can be blowing and taking off some of the sand. And if it goes, worse than that, can break people's windscreen and do a whole lot of damages. So we ask people, put tarpaulin, cover the tarpaulin. We went into enforcement of tarpaulin on every tipper that is carrying products.
You went on enforcement?
Yes, we went on enforcement and we are still doing that.
Also now. Each time I hear enforcement, I'm quick to want to interrogate further, because you find government basically interested in what generates revenue for it, and then enforcement is always at the lowest ebb. I stand to be corrected. So then, that's what I'm wondering. How effective is your enforcement?
Let me tell you, where there is no law, there is no sin. First is to put down the law, and once the law is in place, then you now try to enforce that law on the people. Usually our people, most of our people are lawbreakers. Until the government begin to enforce, they don't believe that this thing is real. And most of them will even believe that it's because the government wants to make money from them, not considering the safety aspect of whatever they are doing. And that is why we have put the law in place that every tipper carrying sand, carrying whether hard rock or stone dust or whatever, must cover them with tarpaulin. We have made the law now, and we have told them, we have passed it across to them. Having done that, it is now left for us to enforce. I may not be there every day to enforce, but some of the days, we will write to the police force, we write to civil defense, please help us to drive, to ensure that these people are complying with whatever. The monetary part is just a little aspect of it, but the safety of lives, safety of properties.
Every law must have a human face. I think you still understand there must be proper awareness of the people so that they know. Like you also said, the ignorance of the law is no excuse.
It is no excuse.
Where there is no law, there is no offense. They must be aware that there is a law.
Yes, I agree with you. We will reach out to the people, carry out a lot of orientation programs for people to know the aims behind our action, so that they don't feel that the government is just out. On part of the social media where the meeting we had with the sand miners were reported, Ondo State wants to be taking 1,000 naira per day on every tipper. As somebody say, this is not good of this government. They want to make people to go and increase the, I said 1,000 naira. The government makes road. The government makes, you know, the comfortable, make things comfortable for you to move your truck, and all and the government is just coming for 1,000 naira, and some people are complaining. Even though you say it is free here, some people will still complain that why should it be free? Why should it not be more free than it is free?
Honorable Commissioner, thank you for that. On the last note, do you have any oversight collaboration with the Ministry of Environment for the cleansing of oil communities in Ondo State, probably with federal government as well? Any form of collaboration?
Yes, definitely. We work. The ministries work hand in hand.
Okay.
The whole thing still falls in line with what we have been saying. That even in oil exploration, you discover that spillages and pollution, environmental pollution, and all these things happen. And when they happen, the cleaning up, that is where the issue is. The cleaning up is supposed to be done by the federal government. But now, if this autonomy thing that we are talking about happen, then it becomes the state responsibility. However, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources are working hand in hand with the Ministry of Environment to see how all those cleanup can happen, and how we can reach out to the federal government to assist us in some of the things to effect this cleaning.
Dr. Johnson Alabi, Honorary Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources. I do understand we've been talking about mineral development and those, but I will not let you go without touching the other aspect, energy.
Yeah.
Since the advent of the new order in the energy administration in Ondo State, would you in your heart of hearts say that the people of Ondo State are actually at ease? Or, because there are issues that some people have also looked at, for instance, the issue of metering and all of that.
Yeah.
Would you say it's indeed in the interest of the people?
Thank you very much. In the area of energy as in power, the Ondo State government, through the visionary governor, Governor Lucky Orimisan Ayedatiwa, has really done much in the area of power in the state. We have laid foundations and we've completed the foundation. It is now for us to be building, and we have begun to build. Now, I am thanking the governor, because our governor is a listening governor. Our governor is a man full of vision. If he has not approved all the things that we are doing so far, maybe we may not be where we are at this moment.
Why will he not approve?
Yes.
Because you sell meters to people, that's also a part of revenue generation.
Yes, it is. I want to tell you, Ondo State is the first to embark on this venture in Nigeria. As I speak to you, Ondo State is the first to enact electricity law. In the southwest here, where there are southwest geopolitical zone, where there are 6 states, I want to tell you, as of today, only 4 have been able to enact their electricity law. Only 4 have been able to pass through the process of decentralization. There is still another state here that has not done anything, but there is a governor in that state too. It is possible, I have always said it, that you can't build something on nothing. It must be laid. But the governor saw through that vision, and before any other person, he adhered into it. And that was why we went into issue of metering.
Is it giving people ease or burden?
In fact, it's a lot of ease. I've had a number of people saying that, See, the jinx have been broken in Ondo State. If people come to me a lot of time to tell me we are paid for meter twice, we couldn't get the meter. But now see, the meter is what I just came here and I just go without any stress.
Sorry to cut into your flow.
Thank you.
Who should be, no, by standard procedure now,
yes,
who should be responsible for the rolling out of the meters? Is it the federal, is it the state government agency or the distribution company?
The distribution company is supposed to be the one rolling out the meter. Naturally, it should be the responsibility of the distribution company. There is an ingredient of the tariff that is called meter access fund.
All right.
MAF.
Commissioner, unfortunately, I might not be able to allow you go deep into this explanation.
Okay.
But rest assured, we will be bringing you back very soon.
Okay.
We hope that you would oblige, because we need to discuss this very, very important area.
Yes.
So that it's not a burden on the people, but actually bringing ease.
Yeah.
Dr. Johnson Alabi, Honorary Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources in Ondo State, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll take a break. When we return, it'll be time for yet another conversation. Everyone, please do stay with us.